Gene Saldana from second place. So expect Joey Saldana, Craig Delansky, Dylan Pittman, Brooke Tackle, and Jack Hottenshield to be giving the fans one heck of a show the rest of the way. From Napa Valley in Calistoga, California, the World of Outlaws will be rocking the grapes off the vines. It's an exclusive on the Outdoor Channel. From Calistoga Speedway in beautiful Napa Valley, it's the World of Outlaws.
Hello, everybody. I'm Art Ekman, and welcome to the Harvest Classic in the heart of California wine country. The number 15 Parker Stores, the points leader this season with Donnie Schatz. Donnie won this race here at Calistoga last year, but the guy who has the real connection to this track is Danny Lasowski. Danny, in 2004, you won all 3 evenings of a 3-night affair. Now you only got 2 to worry about.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's every bit as tough here. You know, Calistoga is a really near and dear place to my heart. You know, it's a big half mile like the Midwest, and this is the only half mile they have in California. So it seems to fit our driving style pretty good, flat out and wide open.
This time of the season, a little more laid back. The schedule's loosened up a bit, and it's time for assessment for many of the drivers. For instance, Brad Doty is with one, Dion Hindi, who is in his comeback year.
Well, Dion, you're finishing up your first full season with the World of Outlaws since your eye injury back in 1998. Have things gone the way you wanted? Or have you met the goals you set out for yourself at the beginning of the season?
Almost all of them. We still have that we let go last night. We didn't win a race last night. So we still have to win a race this year, and then we're pretty close to getting everything accomplished.
Well, one thing about it, Dion, running with the World of Outlaws, there's always another race, another night, and you get another shot at it tonight.
Not only is tonight's race important for the Outlaws Championship points chase, but for local drivers, there's a track championship still to be decided. Let's check in with Johnny Gibson.
Well, Art, when it comes to sprint car racing in California, the Scarborough Trophy that represents the track championship at Calistoga Speedway is one of the more prestigious prizes available. Jason Statler currently leads the battle for that championship. And Jason, not only are you looking for your first Calistoga championship, but your second career World of Outlaws feature win. What's it going to take tonight?
Oh, I'll tell you what, it's these guys out here are pretty tough. Rios Construction, Kistler Motors, they give me good equipment, and we're just going to do the best we can. Everything's got to come together. Got to have the right tires, right setup, all the right brakes, and just be on the gas.
Well, Jason Statler looks for 2 prizes tonight, the championship at Calistoga and a World of Outlaws feature win.
When we return, we'll be talking to tonight's top qualifier and get right to the action on the track. Stay with us. The World of Outlaws on the Outdoor Channel is being brought to you by Optima Batteries, B&W Custom Truck Beds, Advance Auto Parts, Eckert Pharmacies, and by PartyPoker.com.
Miles an hour. Let's take a look at the grid sheet for that first heat.
On the front row for our first qualifying heat, 2 of the 3 drivers who tonight will decide the Calistoga Track Championship, Steve Kent and Brent Kading. Jason Statler, the track's points leader, will be racing in Heat 3. In row 2, it's Jack Hottenshield, who won this race in 1989. Next to him is top qualifier Becca Anderson. In the 3rd row, it's former Calistoga Track champion Randy Hannigan and Brian Carlson. And in the final row, it's Andy Forsberg and Mike Benson. 8 laps for each heat, with the top 5 transferring to the main event. For the race call, Johnny Gibson and Brad Doty.
Thanks, Art. We're ready to go green on the first heat race. Final night of the 2006 Harvest Classic here at Calistoga. A couple of California veterans, Steve Kent and Brent Kading, in row number 1. Kent will lead the field down the front stretch into the first corner. Becca Anderson, the fast qualifier, up over the cushion, loses the handle. Oh, what a tough break for the young lady who electrified the crowd earlier this evening in time trials. Becca Anderson will be going to the rear of the field. Restart is set. Again, Kading and Kent off the front row. Steve Kent gets the jump. Nice run on the low side of the speedway from Jack Hottenshield. Into 1 and 2. Brent Kading up on the high side of the speedway, and it'll be Kading taking the lead out of turn number 2. That's impressive, Brad.
He did it the hard way through the slickest part of the racetrack. Rolled in on the top, turned the car, drove through the middle of the racetrack, and drove by Kent. Kent, no slouch here, a 7-time champion at Calistoga, knows his way around. But right now, Kading's car is really hooked up through the middle of the racetrack.
Brent Kading leading it. Steve Kent running second. This is a battle for third between Jack Hodenshield and Randy Hannigan. Hodenshield hanging on the low side of the speedway. We caught a very brief glimpse of the Family Auto Service number 98X. Andy Forsberg doing a great job. Started at the rear of the field. He's already up into a transfer spot.
Well, we got a shot of Hannigan going after Hodenshield there. He's no stranger to this racetrack. He's a former champion here as well. Look at Kading again, going in on the top, turning it down off the bottom, trying to get some moisture. But look at his elbows down the straightaway. The drivers tell me here that they get a lot of wheel spin down the straightaways. It's hard to keep up with the car just getting on the end of the corners.
Brent Kading fighting the car down the straightaways, but still holding a nearly 2-second advantage over second place running Steve Kent. Jack Hodenshield third, Hannigan fourth, Andy Forsberg there in that 98X car running in the final transfer position. Andy Forsberg winning a 360 race last night at the Placerville Speedway in his own car, now jumping into the Family Auto Service car number 98X and doing a great job. And more problems perhaps for Becca Anderson. Yeah, a lot of smoke out of the side of that car, Brad.
And that is just an oil leak, but she was running out of a transfer spot. Looks like she's going to pull that car to the infield, so tough break for her. It seems like every time they have a good qualifying lap, something goes wrong.
Nothing going wrong for Brent Kading right now. Lead is up to 2.5 seconds in the Al's Roofing Supply 69. Brent Kading, of course, many times Northern Auto Racing Club and Golden State Challenge Series champion, looking to make a statement here in the opening heat race of the evening.
Well, Forsberg around the bottom, really hugging the bottom, but again, Kading going in on the top of 1 and 2 and down across the bottom. He elects to run all the way around the top. Hodenshield going in on the bottom there. You can see the dark dirt on the bottom. Let's see right there, Kading trying to cut it down again. Let's see what Hodenshield does here. He stays on the top now all the way around. A relatively flat racetrack here at Calistoga.
Randy Hannigan still trying to catch up with Hodenshield, but about 5 car lengths behind him as they work their way down the back straightaway. Hodenshield goes to the bottom to enter the corner. Meanwhile, white flag waving for Brent Kading. 1 more lap to go at the Calistoga Speedway. He is way out in front of this one. And again, Brad fighting the car down the straightaway.
And you can see it though, going in on the top, cutting down across the bottom. There he goes in on the bottom, slides up to the cushion.
And Brent Kading will lead them down the front stretch, and under the checkered flag, Kading will get the win in heat race number 1.
Thanks, Johnny. On the Optima Batteries results page, it's 2 outstanding California drivers, Kading and Kent, 1 and 2, with Hodenshield, Hannigan, and Forsberg also on their way to the A main, while tonight's top qualifier, Becca Anderson, battles the blues with Carlson and Benson on their way to the B main.
Great way to start with a heat race and getting into that dash.
Yeah, it really is. You know, the guys are doing a great job on the Al's Roofing Supply Special, and Ron Shaver Motors making a lot of power for us tonight. And we're feeling really good running this well with the Outlaws here.
On the track for Heat 2 is the pole sitter Dion Hindley with Brooke Tatnall also in the front row. Row 2 has Jason Sowald and Donnie Schatz. Row 3, the top 2 Rookie of the Year contenders, Kevin Campbell. Then Tony Bruce Jr., Rick Fowler round out the field. Time for the race call. Here's Johnny and Brad in the booth.
Dion Hindley on the pole for heat race number 2. He was on the pole for the main event last night. Leads them out of the 4th corner. Brooke Tatnall on the high side of the speedway. Then Donnie Schatz and Jason Sowald side by side. Boy, Tatnall really made it close with Hindley there. Forced Dion up the racetrack. And look at Donnie Schatz split Dion Hindley and Jason Sowald.
Boy, no, and right there, Sowald almost got underneath the Hindley as well. But Hindley went in and had to get on the brakes, and the car pushed up across the racetrack, opened the door, and you see Schatz just shoot right through there.
Out in front, it is Brooke Tatnall with Donnie Schatz running second. Dion Hindley in third. Jason Sowald fourth. Chad Kemenaugh holding off Jeremy Campbell for that 5th and final transfer position.
Jeremy Campbell broke a rear axle in warm-ups tonight, so they had their work cut out for him, really thrashing on that car to get that rear end changed.
Had to take the last lap in qualifying time trials, got scored 17th, even though their time would have placed them 13th in the order. That's a penalty for missing your assigned spot in the qualifying order. So Jeremy Campbell behind the 8 ball from the start here this evening.
Absolutely. When you're focusing on changing that rear end, you don't get to focus on your race car, the tires, the setup, and all that. Not only, as you said, the qualifying lap puts them behind, but maybe they're behind on their chassis as well.
Watching the battle for the lead now. Donnie Schatz reeling in Brooke Tatnall's race outfitters number 8. They go down the back straightaway separated by just about 3 car lengths. Meanwhile, Kemenaugh closing in on Hindley as well in a race for 4th.
See him running around the bottom, but look at that. Schatz on the outside trying to make it happen. Looked like he had to breathe the throttle just for a second there.
Donnie Schatz back to the cushion in 1 and 2, and this time around Brooke Tatnall. Tatnall comes right back at him on the inside on the backstretch.
Look at the different wing angle. Schatz there with the car. The wing stood up a little far higher, but he's also got it pulled back a little more, trying to keep the momentum. There he goes around on the outside.
Donnie Schatz drives around Brooke Tatnall. He takes the lead in the car, restores 15. The World of Outlaw points leader trying to make a statement early on here this evening. Was running well last night until they broke a rod.
Yeah, broke the engine in that car, and so again, they had to focus on getting that engine changed and all that stuff today, but boy, that car is fast. Those guys Ricky Warner and the crew chief, they've really got a thing going here. They've really been fast everywhere they've been.
Shots leading it now, pulling away from Brooke Tackle, trying to low line through 1 and 2 that time. Meanwhile, Chad Kevinoff still in the final transfer spot. The driver leading the battle for the Kevin Gobrecht Award for Rookie of the Year, presented by Maximin Butlerville.
And back here, Shots rolling around the top, and you can see that again, the racetrack slick. He's got that wing back. You can see what he does around the top here, and stays up there. These guys are known for running a big lefter. As you see the white flag coming out, which means they take the stagger out. That should help the car roll around the top of the racetrack.
Donnie Schatz rolling around the top of 3 and 4 for the final time, pulling away and getting a victory in heat race number 2.
Okay, guys, Donnie Schatz giving us a preview of what he hopes to do with the A-Main. On the Optima Batteries results page, Tatnall takes a second with Sowald, Hindy, and Kevinoff finishing in the top 5. They'll all head to the A-Main, while the rest, including Jeremy Campbell, will have to battle through the last chance B-Main if they hope to make the main event.
Anything's better than last night, so just keep going here. The racetrack's really good right now. You can run the bottom, the middle, the top, and that's where we're seem to shine. I just need to get a good long race in, and we'll be all right.
The top 4 from last night's preliminary feature, Danny Lasowski, Paul McMahon, Craig Delansky, and Joey Saldana continue to watch from trackside. They are locked in for tonight's dash. But we've got one more qualifying heat to go. Action on the track when we return. Art Ekman, Johnny Gibson, and Brad Doty with the World of Outlaws in Calistoga, California. They call it dirt track racing, but on some tracks comes an overabundance of rocks. Tonight's Tech Tip with Brad Doty is brought to you by Optima Batteries.
Rocks and debris in dirt track racing is not uncommon. Calistoga is no exception. For that reason, we're going to look at the rock screen that these drivers use to try to protect themselves. We look at Darren Pittman's car. You see his rock screen, a series of bars that run up and down in front of the driver's face here. Now, some guys use steel and others use a titanium rock screen. The thing that's unique about the titanium, the drivers tell me when the rocks bounce off of this, it actually arcs and makes a spark similar to a welder's arc. So the first couple times it happens, it catches them off guard, but they still prefer the sparks and the titanium because they feel like it's stronger. Now, some drivers won't even run a rock screen. They don't like it. They think it interferes with their vision and hurts their depth perception. So again, it's up to the driver what type they use or whether they even use one at all.
Here's how they'll be lined up for tonight's final qualifying heat. On the front row will be Chad Hillier and Bill Rose. Starting in row 2 is Justin Henderson and Darren Pittman. In row 3, Jason Martin and Jason Statler. Then it's Terry McCarl fighting Gremlins along with Kyle Hurst and Jonathan Alley. Time to go racing. Here's Johnny.
Final heat race of the evening. Chad Hillier and Bill Rose set the pace out of turn number 4. It is Bill Rose getting the jump. Lots of close quarters action down there on the front straightaway, Brad.
Looks like about 4 wide as they went into turn 1, but everybody makes it through cleanly.
Darren Pittman in the second spot, trails Bill Rose down the backstretch. Look at Chad Hillier stick his nose in there on the inside in the Dirt Incorporated number 5.
Boy, but he thought about it, but he got out of the throttle and let Pittman go on the outside. But when he got out of the throttle, look at that. Justin Henderson closed in on the back of him.
Justin Henderson goes to the cushion in the Dan Dan the Sonic Man D1, but that opens up the inside for the Calistoga Speedway points leader, Jason Statler, in the 00.
Again, right around the bottom of the racetrack, multiple grooves. They got a nice cushion. Oh, boy, Henderson gets up over it a little bit right there.
Justin Henderson slides over the cushion just a bit, still running in that 4th position. Meanwhile, Pittman and Rose continue their battle for the lead. Darren Pittman trying something a little different there. Entered on the top, came off on the bottom. Henderson has gotten by. Statler's got a wing problem. The side panel is folding over on the wing on that 00 car.
Looks like the strap is broken. You see it peeled back. That's 2 nights in a row. He's had the left sideboard panel. Last night, a big clump of mud hit the left side and about tore it off tonight. Looks like the air just caught that and broke the strut. Look at Pittman.
Darren Pittman making a strong move off the low side in turn number 2. He will take the lead in the Titan Garages 21.
And he's running about the same line that we saw Kading run earlier, going to the top of the racetrack and 1 and 2 turn it, coming down across the bottom, hitting that moisture and getting a great drive up off the corner.
Pittman now starting to pull away, watching a battle for the transfer spot now between Chad Hillier and the hitman Jason Martin. Martin sticks his nose down on the low side of the speedway, the NOS Energy Drink 36, but Hillier able to hold him off for now.
Hillier did the right thing. He kept the car really tight off of turn 2. It looked like Martin had the inside and gets up over the cushion, similar to we saw Henderson earlier in that same corner.
And now sticking his nose in. Caution on the speedway. Terry McCarl is coming to a stop on the backstretch, and that'll put us under caution. Field is reset. Darren Pittman leading it with Bill Rose second, Justin Henderson third, Jason Statler with that side panel starting to fold back, running fourth. Chad Hillier in the final transfer spot as we go back to green.
And whatever the problem was with the car, whether it jumped out of gear or what, he did rejoin the field at the tail of the field here.
And look at Jonathan Allard, the 2006 Golden State Challenge Series champion, drives the Ronald McDonald House number 0 around the 36 of Martin and the 5C of Hillier. Now here comes Terry McCarl. McCarl trying to come back from the rear and garner a transfer position as the last one down.
Boy, Hillier and Martin have to wonder what's going on. They're battling each other. And then the 0 car of Allard gets by. And then in the meantime, McCarl sneaks by both of them.
Terry McCarl to the inside of Allard now moved McCarl's big game tree stands 24 into that 5th and final transfer position.
Well, these guys have cockpit adjustment on these cars, so you see the white flag, and they can do it under green, but I have to wonder when McCarl stopped, whatever the problem was, if he made some adjustments back to that car really got fast.
Terry McCarl in the transfer spot. This man in the lead, Darren Pittman, in the tight garage as Doyle's Harley-Davidson 21 sees the checkered flag as the winner of heat race number 3. Pittman into the main event, as is Terry McCarl. Good job coming back after the caution, finishing 5th.
Thanks, Johnny and Brad. Checking out the Optima Batteries results page, Darren Pittman, 4th in the standings, did what he was expected to do, and that's take the checkered flag, transferring to the main event. Going with him to the A-main is Justin Henderson, Bill Rose, Jason Stadler, and a battling Terry McCarl. It's the last chance B-main for the remaining 3 drivers. Let's hear from Darren.
He hasn't been out of the top 10 in the last 19 races, and a good heat win here at Calistoga.
Yeah, he wins good, especially if you're not on the front row. So car's been good all weekend. We just had a little bit of bad luck all night, or we felt like we had a car good enough to get locked in. But, you know, we're still in good shape, start 6th in the dash, and we can definitely do it from there. So we run this race about 3 years ago, and love to get another one if we could.
Coming up next from Calistoga Speedway is a 6-lap dash to determine the order of the first 5 rows in tonight's A-main. Who will be on the pole for the main event? We'll find out when we return. Art Ekman, Johnny Gibson, and Brad Doty with the World of Outlaws in Calistoga, California. Welcome back as we're getting ready for tonight's dash. A quick 6 laps to determine the order of the first 5 rows in tonight's main event. Last night's preliminary feature winner, Danny Lasoski, sits on the pole with Paul McMahon on the outside of the front row. In row 2, it's Craig Delansky. Next to him, Joey Saldana. Donnie Schatz and Darren Pittman earned their way into the dash tonight. They'll be starting in row 3. In row 4, it's Justin Henderson and Jason Sowald. And rounding out the dash lineup is Jack Hottenshield and Brent Kading. Let's go up to the booth now. Take it away, guys.
6 laps of dash action. Winner of this one starts on the pole of the Harvest Classic finale. Danny Lasoski jumps out to the early lead as they make their way into 1 and 2. Paul McMahon trying to make it work down low, but Lasoski has the lead, and now Joey Saldana up to challenge McMahon for the 2nd spot. Oh, caution flag coming out on the speedway one more time. World of Outlaws officials not satisfied with the start. They'll have to line them up 2 by 2 and try it again.
Yeah, Johnny, and the neat thing this year, or just recently, the 2 lines. You might notice down there 2 lines, anybody watching, they have to be side by side when they can't take off before the first line and have to be side by side at that 2nd line, and if they're not, they'll call it back, give them 1 warning. If they do it again, they get sent back a row.
Danny Lasoski and Paul McMahon, 1st and 2nd place finishers in last night's preliminary main event, lead the field on to turn number 4 for the dash. Winner of this one is on the pole for the 30-lap Harvest Classic finale. Lasoski a little loose there out of turn number 4, and that allows Paul McMahon to lead them into 1 and 2.
And you see Delansky trying to make it 3 wide through the middle there, but look at this. Boy, Lasoski with a great run up off the bottom.
Danny Lasoski drives it hard into turn number 3, nearly gets into Paul McMahon, and Lasoski will take the lead.
Boy, that was tight. I thought sure there was wheel contact as they went into turn 3, but I didn't see any tire smoke, so they probably didn't touch, but boy, that was tight.
Now a good 3-car battle for the 2nd spot. Lasoski leading it, Craig Delansky on the low side, Paul McMahon in the middle, and now Joey Saldana up high, and another bold move into turn number 3, this time by the crowd pleaser Craig Delansky, and it nets him the 2nd position.
Boy, and Paul McMahon has to wonder what's going on. These guys sliding under and getting into turn 3, but look at that, with that move Delansky made, that bold move. If he finishes there, that'll put him on the front row of the main event.
It is Danny Lasoski leading, Craig Delansky 2nd, Paul McMahon 3rd, Joey Saldana running in the 4th spot. Lasoski now with a half a straightaway advantage over Craig Delansky. Danny enters turn 1 on the high side, cuts down to the bottom to exit the corner. Now moving up on the speedway, Darren Pittman, who won the heat race earlier here this evening, catching up with the 9-car of Joey Saldana. They battle for 4th.
Well, it seems like coming out of turn 2, if the guy can keep the car really tight, there's some moisture down there and they get a good run on it. Seems like maybe it's a little loose off the top. And I think that's why these guys are doing that. Like you see Delansky, or Lasoski rather, go in on the top, turn the car and come down off the bottom and try to hit that moisture.
Danny Lasoski off the pace, caution flag on the speedway. Problems up in turn number 4 for Justin Henderson. Looks like he may have cut down a left rear tire in that Dan the Sonic Man D1. ready to go back to green. Henderson was not able to get back out onto the speedway. Lasowski leading it over Craig Delansky. Paul McMahon still third, Joey Saldana in fourth. Lasowski again, smooth off the low side. Oh, trouble in turn number 2. 4 cars involved. We see the R19 of Jason Solwald, the 35 of Jack Hodenshield, and the 69 of Brent Kading. They tangle when Darren Pittman lost power in turn number 2, and those 3 drivers no place to go. Everybody involved in the accident able to restart as we get set to go green one more time. Again, Danny Lasowski out of turn 4. This time, it's Delansky staying right with him into 1 and 2. Delansky tries the high side of the speedway, and Donnie Schatz making a move down low in the Parker Stores 15.
Boy, these guys, desperation time. Look at that 3 wide as they go into turn 3.
Schatz on the low side, McMahon in the middle, and Joey Saldana up high. Schatz moves into third with a 3 wide maneuver into turn 3. White flag flying, 1 more lap to go.
And again, Johnny, Paul McMahon has to wonder what in the world, everybody going in underneath of him like that. Oh, close contact, but I don't think anybody's touched yet. But again, desperation, these guys know that they got to get up through there.
Well, Danny Lasowski looking for the pole position in the main event, and Craig Delansky will start outside the front row as the dash goes checkered.
Thanks, Johnny. Looking at the Optima Batteries results page, it's Lasowski's 3rd dash win, but he wins his very first World of Outlaws pole on the season. Taking second in the dash, putting him next to Lasowski in the front row for the main event, is Craig Delansky. Schatz will start in 3rd, the rest of the dash finish. McMahon takes a 4th, and it's Pittman, Saldana, Solwald, Hodenshield, Kading, and Henderson.
Well, Danny, I know you don't have a rear view mirror, but there was a heck of a lot of competition behind you and a longer dash than normal.
Yeah, it looked like we had a little fender bender down here in the corner, but you know, I was searching there early, and then finally I just went to the bottom and stayed there in 1 and 2 and went to top in 3 and 4. And
there remains only 5 spots on the A main grid left to fill, and those will come up from the 10-lap B main. It's all coming up next. Welcome back to Calistoga, California, where the World of Outlaws have one final step of the qualifying process, the last chance B main. 10 cars looking for only 5 remaining spots left on the grid for tonight's A main. Tonight's top qualifier, Becca Anderson's on the pole with Chad Hillier next to her in the front row. Jason Martin and Brian Carlson are in row 2, with Jeremy Campbell and Tony Bruce Jr. behind them. Then it's Benson and Bowser, First and Allard, filling out the hopeful field. Take it away, Johnny.
Ready to go green on the B main. Final chance for 5 more drivers to make it into the main event. Fast qualifier Becca Anderson, after the problems in her heat race, jumps out to the early lead. Look at Jonathan Allard in the Ronald McDonald House number 0. Started 8th. He's already up to 3rd.
He got a great start down the front straightaway, passed a few cars, but when everybody went to the bottom of the racetrack, Johnny, he had the middle of the top to himself, rolled around there and finds himself in 3rd spot out of turn 2.
Becca Anderson out in front with Jason Martin right behind her. Becca goes into the middle of the corner. Jason Martin sticks it down on the bottom of the speedway. Side by side for the lead. Martin to the inside of Anderson to make the pass. And Tony Bruce Jr. getting by Jeremy Campbell for the final transfer spot.
In the same corner, Johnny, coming out of turn 2. If you can stick, your car works on the bottom, you can make a pass. We saw 2 cars do it right there.
Jason Martin now out in front. Becca Anderson 2nd. Jonathan Allard 3rd. Chad Hillier 4th. And then again, the duel for the final transfer spot. Jeremy Campbell to the high side. Tony Bruce down low. Still side by side. Bruce able to hang on. Campbell trying to get a run on him.
Well, Bruce doing the smart thing, trying to run the bottom of the racetrack and forcing Campbell to try to go the outside. Now you see him get a little high there in 3 and 4, Campbell did.
It's Jason Martin in the NOS Energy Drink Mafia Motorsports 36 out in front. Pulling away now, nearly a 2-second advantage over 2nd place running Becca Anderson, watching him work the steering wheel into turn number 3.
And you can really hear him throttling the car coming out of turn 4. Look at this now. Campbell does get by Bruce.
Jeremy Campbell making the high side of the speedway work, and he takes over that 5th spot, now reeling in Chad Hillier. Meanwhile, Jonathan Allard going to work on Becca Anderson for the 2nd spot.
And doing it the hard way, trying to get around the outside. Becca, now she, goes into the middle. Let's see what Allard does, if he can turn the car here and maybe get under. Have to see what he can do here.
Jason Martin, Becca Anderson, Jonathan Allard, then Chad Hillier and Jeremy Campbell in the transfer spots. Allard still trying to make it work on the high side of the speedway. Still about a straightaway behind this driver, Jason Martin. Now Allard right to the outside of Becca Anderson into turn number 3. Becca tries to drive it back up into the center of the speedway. They're still side by side for that 2nd spot. Becca still holding off the 2006 King of California.
Boy, and that's tough when you're for Allard. When you're on the outside driving in the corner like that, driver cannot see the left front tire or the car in front of his right rear. Again, right there, taking a huge chance of not running into her right rear with his left front.
Well, Allard makes the high side of the speedway work this time, rolls down the front stretch, now in second spot with Anderson third, Hillier fourth, and then Campbell still in the final transfer position.
Allard really lucky tonight, Johnny. Earlier on tonight, he broke a U-joint in that car and it came out and hit him in the foot, but didn't do any severe damage. Bruised his foot a little bit, but fortunately for him, it didn't break it like we heard of Terry McCarr earlier in the year.
Jonathan Allard now back into a transfer spot after some early adversity. Chad Hillier goes to the inside, takes the third spot away from Becca Anderson. So Becca fading back to fourth, and still Jeremy Campbell occupying that fifth and final transfer spot. Laps winding down here in this 10-lap B main.
Boy, and it really is, and we talked about Becca and all her troubles earlier. She's probably trying to play it smart here and just finish in the top 5 transfer spot.
White flag waving, half a mile to go in the B main. It has been all Jason Martin since he took the lead early on in this one. Best battle on the speedway, the race for the final transfer spot. Jeremy Campbell now passed by the 18T of Tony Bruce Jr. Bruce steals the transfer going into 3. Here comes Campbell on the high side, going to have to make it happen the final quarter of the final lap, and it'll be Campbell driving Bruce down to the inside to take the transfer position.
Well, he did what he had to do there. He could say he was trying to get under Becca, but he did turn left and block a little bit. Got the final transfer spot.
On the Optima Batteries results page, Jason Martin wins by almost 4 seconds. Jason and his family team getting the right combination going. Jonathan Allard, Chad Hillier, Becca Anderson, and Jeremy Campbell making the main event. All others back to the hollers to pack it in.
Jason into the main event, but I've noticed all weekend long you've had a lot of extra help coming in. A lot of good camaraderie in this bunch.
Yeah, I mean, everybody in this whole tour, they're real good friends to everybody. You got a problem, they'll help you no matter what. Yeah, we lost one guy this week. He went to another team, so it's just me and one young kid, and flew my parents out here, so it's a little bit of help. But the Kiminals have been a lot of help to us all year long, along with a lot of other people. But Chad and Brian and all their guys, they're just real good help to us.
The field is set. 24 cars ready for 30 laps for the Harvest Classic crown. Previous winners, Lasowski, Pittman, and Hodenshield, prime for returning to glory. Delansky, Zeldin, and others looking for their first such title. Stay with us. It's the World of Outlaws on the Outdoor Channel. The World of Outlaws on the Outdoor Channel is being brought to you by Optima Batteries, B&W Custom Truck Beds, Advance Auto Parts, Eckert Pharmacies, and by PartyPoker.com. Welcome back to Calistoga Speedway and the Harvest Classic. We're ready for the 30-lap A main. On the pole, looking for his 4th Harvest Classic career win, the victor in last night's preliminary feature race, Danny Lasowski. Next to him in the front row from the mean 15, Craig Delansky. In row 2 from the mean 15, Donnie Schatz. Next to the Outlaws points leader was last night's second-place finisher, Paul McMahon. In row 3, 2 from the mean 15, Darren Pittman and Joey Saldana. In row 4, it's Jason Sowald, and from the mean 15, Jack Hodenshield. Brent Kading starts on the inside of row 5 with a rookie from the mean 15 on the outside, Justin Henderson. In row 6, we have 2 from the mean 15, Becca Anderson and Brooke Tacknell. It's Bill Rose and Chad Hillier in row 7. In row 8 from the mean 15, Dion Hindy. Next to last night's pole sitter is Steve Kent. Then there's 2 from the mean 15 in row 9, Randy Hannigan and Chad Kamenov. 2 more from the mean 15. Rookies will start from the 10th row, Jason Martin and Jeremy Campbell. Filling out the field, it's Statler and Forsberg in row 11. From the mean 15 in the last row, Terry McCarl. Next to McCarl is Jonathan Allard. We're set to go. 30 laps on the half-mile track at Calistoga Speedway. Here's Johnny.
Thanks, Art. It is A main time at Calistoga for the 2006 Harvest Classic. Green flag waving on this one. Lasowski from the pole. Craig Delansky on the outside of the front row. Delansky makes the high side of the speedway work. He will take the lead out of turn 2. Meanwhile, Jeremy Campbell on the top side of the speedway, splitting Chad Kamenov and Chad Hillier. Campbell, who started 20th, already by 6 cars.
Well, he came out of the B main and just stole that final transfer spot, and he's making it happen here, getting by 5 or 6 as they enter turn 1 and 2.
Craig Delansky out in front. Meanwhile, a good battle a little further back in the pack between Brent Kading and the 8 of Brooke Tattnell. Look at Jack Hodenshield nearly getting into the back end of Tattnell's car through turn 2.
And that would have been bad for Hodenshield. He had the car bent around. If he'd have made contact there, it definitely would have sent him spinning.
Got a glimpse of Donnie Schatz trying to make the low side of the speedway work. Schatz currently in 5th. Right in front of him, Darren Pittman in the 4th position. A couple of sparks coming off the bottom frame rail of Delansky's number 7 as he entered the corner.
That's not uncommon. That's with cars slamming down the frame, dragging the racetrack, hitting the rocks, and just see those sparks coming off. No harm, no foul there.
Darren Pittman, Joey Saldana, and Donnie Schatz racing for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Saldana currently in the 3rd position. He enters on the bottom. Darren Pittman takes the Titan Garages 21 up to the cushion in 1 and 2.
And we talk about some of the rocks and the stones. I did my tech tip earlier on that. The guys have pretty hard tires on, 25s on the right rear and 20s on the left rear. That's relatively hard. A lot of it they're worried about rubber down, but also just ripping the tires up from the rocks.
Craig Delansky continuing to work the cushion. Looks pretty smooth in that Caravan Trailers number 7, looking for his 5th win of the year. Oh, Darren Pittman slides high up in turn number 2. That allows Donnie Schatz to take advantage on the low side. Schatz moves into 3rd with Saldana 4th, and now Pittman back to 5th.
Boy, and that's a helpless feeling there, Darren Pittman. You get up over that cushion into that dry, loose dirt. Boy, the car just wheel spin up there, and you have to be careful to keep it out of the wall. At least he did a good job and did keep it out of the wall.
Pittman recovering to hang on to a top 5. Meanwhile, Craig Delansky about to start to see slower traffic. Oh, Donnie Schatz, the same thing that happened to Pittman a couple laps ago. Gets up in the loose stuff in turn number 2, and now Schatz falls back to 5th.
And you could see the brown dirt flying off the rear tires of Schatz as he had a lot of wheel spin and let the door open. Those guys drive right by him.
Danny Lasowski now catching up with Craig Delansky as the slower traffic comes into play. Lasowski now just about 0.3 of a second behind that Caravan Trailers number 7.
And you see Delansky went in on the bottom, kind of sliding up to the cushion. On the start of the race, he rolled all the way up to the cushion, and when they came down to the green, now he's running right around the bottom, trying to hug real tight there and get a good drive up off of turn 2. But look at that. Lasowski got a great drive off that corner.
Lasowski is very good off the bottom in turn number 2. Delansky enters low, drifts high, but Lasowski can't hold the bottom in 3 and 4. If he would have been able to hold the bottom, I think he might have been able to get by.
Well, we talk about Lasowski a lot of times running the bottom of the racetrack. He knows how to pedal the car. Look at this. Here he is again on the bottom. That's surprising that Delansky was able to hold him off there really through the middle of the racetrack. I really thought Lasowski had a good enough drive. He might get by him there.
Darren Pittman closing in on Joey Saldana, racing for the 3rd spot. Randy Hannigan off the pace, pulling into the pit area in the 1X.
Looks like he bottled a couple cars off. Looks like it's the 98 car gets sideways right in front of Lasowski.
Oh, Andy Forsberg nearly costing Danny Lasowski the 2nd spot. Delansky gets by and puts a lap car between himself and 2nd place running at Danny Lasowski. They make their way into 3 and 4. Darren Pittman and Donnie Schatz still going at it for the 4th spot.
Boy, and it's hard right there as you see Schatz rolling around that bottom, keeping it tight. Look at this, a battle again up here for the lead.
Into the traffic, and again, Danny Lasowski able to close in on Craig Delansky. Delansky working the slower car into turn number 3. That is the 00 of Jason Statler just in front of him. Statler's nose wing knocked sideways on that car. We do want to congratulate Jason by making the A-main. He locked up the Scarborough Trophy for the Calistoga Championship for 2006.
Well, we saw Statler with top wing trouble all weekend. Now the nose wing a little bit crooked on that car. So we got a battle here going on with Schatz in the 9 car of Saldana out of turn 2.
Look at the back nerf bar on Joey Saldana's Dodge Mopar number 9. It is knocked down low. Somebody's gotten into the back of that car in earlier action. Oh, trouble on the speedway. Caution flag waving. Brooke Tatnell coming to a stop in turn number 2 with a broken front axle.
Craig Delansky looking strong in the lead. We'll be right back to the World of Outlaws from Calistoga, California in a moment. Welcome back to the Harvest Classic. Just before a grape crushing season here in Napa Valley, the leaders, Delansky and Lasowski, are doing some crushing on their own. Here's Johnny.
Ready for the restart. Craig Delansky leading at the lap car of Jason Statler between himself and 2nd place running Danny Lasowski. We are back underway at Calistoga. Into turns 1 and 2. Andy Forsberg a little sideways. Donnie Schatz nearly gets into him. Darren Pittman does get into him, and Pittman is upside down over in turn number 2.
When the 98 got sideways, looked like Pittman turned his car sideways, clipped him with his right rear, and up over he goes. Tough break for Pittman.
Lap cars are inevitable in racing, and it's really not that big a deal, but the problem is when they spin out, and I don't really see how in the world it came all the way back down across the racetrack in front of the whole field. So, that's the only problem I have with it. I mean, unfortunately, we've just been on a really good roll, and we've had a lot of really good finishes, and we were definitely going to have another one tonight. We had a really good car, and I was definitely better than Schatz and better than Joey from what I could see, and definitely was a 3rd place car, and would have liked to got to 3rd to see if I had anything for the leaders, but just a disappointing way to end the weekend.
Brooke Tatnell able to take advantage of this red flag situation and continue work on that Rush Racing number 8. They had not made it back out in time for the restart, but the red flag gives them an opportunity to rejoin the field.
And they got that car fixed, and they did rejoin at the tail.
Ready for the restart once again. Craig Delansky on the throttle. The lap car of Jason Statler separating he in 2nd place running Danny Lasowski. Lasowski makes the move to the inside. And there's Jeremy Campbell. Campbell already up to 7th from the 20th starting position, trying to make it around the outside of Brent Kading.
And look at this, Delansky just out front, rolling around, again, those sparks, but boy, he has to think this race is taking forever. When you're out front leading like this, it just counting the laps down, trying to be smooth and hit his marks, getting through the corners.
Jeremy Campbell has gotten by the 69 of Brent Kading, moved Campbell up to 6th. Now Paul McMahon trying to sneak to the inside of Donnie Schatz. Schatz dealing with the lap car of Statler, and Kading again to the inside of Jeremy Campbell. Justin Henderson right there as well.
Schatz going to the inside of Statler, the lap car there, coming out of turn 4, right through the middle of the racetrack. See him picking the front wheels up a little bit, right where the rubber's at.
Got a very quick glimpse on the high side of the speedway of Terry McCarl in the big game tree stands 24. McCarl's done a great job as well. He started 23rd and he is into the top 10.
Again, when you start in the back like that, sometimes you can throw a setup on the car. You feel like you have nothing to lose, so you can maybe throw a setup on that race car that you might not otherwise try if you're starting up front. Sometimes you hit it and you come forward.
We saw Rob Hart do that several years ago with Danny Wood at Las Vegas Motor Speedway when they won from 17th. Now Hart, one of the co-crew chiefs on leader Craig Delansky's Caravan Trailers number 7. He and Dave Yingst working very well.
Well, in the racetrack in Vegas, similar to this, back then when they won that race, kind of slick and rolling around through the middle of the racetrack, they have a good setup. And right there, Delansky, look at his elbows, hardly any movement on his arms at all. That car is working very well.
We talked about how difficult it was on the straightaways, and earlier this evening saw a lot of drivers kind of pumping the steering wheel down the straightaways, but again, Delansky's car is so very stable there right now. Meanwhile, Terry McCarl trying to move around the 15K of Chad Kemenaugh. They race for the 9th spot.
Again, you see it right there, and what the guys were saying earlier, they could handle getting through the corners. The racetrack wasn't too bad through the corners, but down the straightaways, they'd have a good traction, and all of a sudden the wheels would break loose and the car would get sideways on them, so they really had their hands full on the straightaway.
There is that battle for a top 10 spot. Terry McCarl gets by rookie leader Chad Kemenaugh into turn number 3. Meanwhile, Delansky rockets off the bottom of turn 2 and rolls down the backstretch. Oh, red flag conditions on the speedway. Jonathan Allard upside down over in turn number 3.
But you can see okay, but his troubles continue after that U-joint breaking earlier in the night.
What happened?
It's just a tough deal racing in the back, and get some guys trying to block you instead of race you, and just get above the marbles there and got into the fence and just tore it up.
Jonathan Allard is able to walk away, but it's going to take some time to clear the track and get ready for racing. We shall return. Art Ekman, Johnny Gibson, and Brad Doty coming your way from Calistoga Speedway with the World of Outlaws. Take it away, Johnny.
Another restart. Craig Delansky trying to hold off Danny Lasowski, Joey Saldana, Donnie Schatz, and Paul McMahon, the top 5. No traffic separating the top 2 now. Lasowski goes down to the bottom in 1 and 2. Delansky's able to hold him off there. Meanwhile, Jason Solwald, Terry McCarl, and Jeremy Campbell 3 wide now racing for that 6th position. Give it to Solwald. McCarl trying to get to the inside of Campbell. Again, Campbell and McCarl both have come from the rear of the field.
Well, we talked about that a couple of times, those guys battling up through, and here they find themselves together. Now Solwald does separate them as McCarl tries the outside.
Justin Henderson running 6th. Jeremy Campbell now 7th. Solwald in 8th, and Terry McCarl in 9th. Meanwhile, Schatz and the 9 car of Joey Saldana going at it. You can see Schatz get up over the berm on the inside of the speedway.
Getting that left front up on there. Sometimes that'll pin the right rear and actually stick the right rear and make the car handle. That may be what he's trying to do. He's just trying to squeeze underneath of Saldana as they got through the corner.
Watching Craig Delansky lead this one down the backstretch. Again, frame rail bottoming out as he enters the corner. Now Kemenaugh back to the inside of Terry McCarl, making a move for the 9th spot. McCarl tries to hold him off, works the high side of the racetrack out of turn number 4.
Well, you can see the guys on the high side get into turn 3 a lot faster than the guys on the bottom, but they have to slide up so high, but McCarl does make it work there.
Now Donnie Schatz all over Joey Saldana. Again, that rear Nerf bar pushed down low on the Dodge Mopar number 9.
That's not going to hurt him in the race car itself. You see some red glowing off the brakes of Delansky there as he comes out of turn 2. But again, Saldana, that bumper, it's not going to affect that race car in any way.
Donnie Schatz, Joey Saldana, wheel to wheel for the 3rd spot. Saldana hangs on once again. Into 3 and 4. Again, Donnie Schatz putting that left front up on the berm.
But that time it might have messed him up as you saw the car kind of bounce. He took a little bit of a push in there. Saldana did pull away from him.
Saldana puts 4 car lengths on the Parker Stores 15. The World of Outlaws points leader now trying to make the high side of the speedway work out of turn 2. And Craig Delansky with the rear wheels up over the cushion out of turn number 4.
Oh, and that time Saldana gets in really low and bounces up off the bottom.
Donnie Schatz able to drive by, moves into the 3rd spot. Meanwhile, Paul McMahon running in 5th, trying to hold off Jeremy Campbell from the 20th starting spot. Campbell trying to look to the outside of the Bass Pro Shops number 20.
And you have to wonder if Jeremy Campbell even knows where he's at on the racetrack as far as what position. You're just trying to pass every car you come to, and he at this point might not even know how good a run he's had.
Campbell up over the cushion in 3 and 4, but still staying right with Paul McMahon down the front straightaway. Craig Delansky again about to start working slower traffic. Bill Rose going a lap down to the race leader, coming up on Becca Anderson and running out of time here in this A main, just a few laps remaining.
And the racetrack staying in pretty good shape. I think a lot of people thought it was going to be a one groove, rubber down right through the middle, and we can see guys obviously running the top and the bottom of the racetrack. It's been a good race so far. This guy right there going around Becca Anderson though on the outside, that's he's been running up there anyway, and he gets by cleanly.
Becca Anderson now a lap down to the race leader. Danny Lasowski trying to follow Craig Delansky and keep the traffic from letting him have a run at Delansky on the final lap. Meanwhile, Jeremy Campbell all over Paul McMahon for a top 5 position. Campbell goes to the outside. Delansky still working slower traffic, still side by side for 5th. McMahon on the inside, Jeremy Campbell on the high side. They nearly get together into 3 and 4.
Boy, and he squeezes by on the outside and does make it work there. It looked like with McMahon, he slid up in the middle of the racetrack, and Campbell on the outside had it right rear up on the cushion there and able to squeeze by on the outside.
Jeremy Campbell moves into the top 5 from the 20th starting position. Meanwhile, this is Craig Delansky reeling in the 7N of Steve Kent, trying to get him a lap down. Now Justin Henderson going to work on the 20 car of Paul McMahon in a race for 6th. Delansky down the backstretch. Again, traffic right in front of him. Lots of stuff happening here in the closing laps. Terry McCarl from 23rd. Now, white flag flying on the A main field. Delansky going to work on Steve Kent into 1 and 2, but Kent able to squeeze by on the inside, and that opens up the door for Danny Lasowski. Lasowski with an attempt to make a move here on the final lap. Delansky clears Kent. Lasowski goes to the high side. Delansky slides very high out of turn number 4. Lasowski's going to make it close, but Craig Delansky will win the Harvest Classic.
Boy, Johnny, after Delansky leading the whole race and getting through lap traffic relatively easily, finds himself on the white flag lap, getting caught behind Steve Kent. Coming out of turn 2, he had no choice but to go to the outside. That could have opened the door for Lasowski on the inside, but Delansky was able to hold him off at the checkered.
Delansky gets his 5th win of the year, and how about the runs by Jeremy Campbell from 20th to 5th and Terry McCarl from 23rd to 8th.
Okay, guys, Craig Delansky has taken the broom right out of Danny Lasowski's hands, winning his 5th of the season and the 17th of his World of Outlaws career. We'll take a look at the stats, hear from not only our winner, but those who were charging up through the field, and check out the points situation right after this timeout. The World of Outlaws on the Outdoor Channel is being brought to you by Optima Batteries, B&W Custom Truck Beds, Advance Auto Parts, Eckert Pharmacies, and by PartyPoker.com.
Can't get enough dirt motorsports racing action? Get your Dirt Vision Cyber Pass, the premium online subscription for DirtVision.com. Yeah! Live race notes, timing and scoring, text chat with others. Also gain access to our on-demand video archive. Go to DirtVision.com. Click the Cyber Pass link. Choose the subscription that's right for you, and you are off to the races. The Dirt Vision Cyber Pass, fully interactive. Yeah!
Welcome back to Calistoga Speedway, where Craig Delansky not only has posted his 5th win of the World of Outlaws season, but has his 4th consecutive top 5 performance and working. On the Optima Batteries results page, Delansky and Lasowski were separated by a mere 27/100ths of a second at the checkered flag. Donnie Schatz ends up in front of Joey Saldana. Jeremy Campbell gets top rookie honors for the race, and as we mentioned, came from 20th to go to 5th. Campbell getting his first top 5 finish since early June. McMahon, Henderson come in 6th and 7th. Then it's Terry McCarl from 23rd on the starting grid to 8th in the checkered flag. Sowald and Kavanaugh round out the top 10. Katie won the battle, but it was Jason Statler getting enough points to win the Calistoga Track Championship here tonight. Let's get the point of views now, not only from the winner, but the hard chargers.
Glad to see Craig win it. He hasn't won a whole lot, so I guess if we can't win, I guess I'd like to see one of them guys win. But
we got beat. It's plain and simple. You know, Craig did what he had to do, and we never had the opportunity to come in lap traffic to pin him in.
My crew did a great job, made the right tire choice. A lot of times when the track, you're not sure what the track's going to do, it really comes down to that tire choice. And Dave Yanks, Rob Hart, Eric, and Matt work hard, and just glad we got the win tonight.
Donnie Schatz now has a 304-point lead on Joey Saldana. But with the win, Craig Delansky goes to the Gold Cup this coming weekend in Chico, California, only 14 points behind Saldana for second place in the standings. Pittman's bad luck tonight puts him 102 points behind Delansky, while Tapman in 5th place is only 18 points from Pittman's bridge. Hottenshield, Kemenon, Campbell, Henderson, and McCarl round out the top 10. Campbell's hard work gives him his second consecutive top rookie honors for a race. Jack Kemenon dominates the battle for the Kevin Goldbrook Rookie of the Year presented by Maxim Racing and Butler Build Honors. This is Art Ekman for Johnny Gibson and Brad Doty, thanking you for being with us from the California wine country and hoping you can join us next week at this same time on the Outdoor Channel from the Gold Cup in Chico, California. For now, so long, everyone.